Welcome to the Embracing Brokenness podcast, where our goal is to engage with all of those willing to venture deeper into their transformational journey with Christ. Here's your host and co-founder of Embracing Brokenness Ministries, Steve Adams.
Well, hey everybody, good to be with you on this Thanksgiving Monday. Well, I guess it's called that, I'm not sure. But this time of the year, it's all about a couple things that come to mind. Turkey and gratitude. That's what I'm going to call it today. And so a brief conversation, because I know everybody has a lot happening here in the coming weeks as we lead into Christmas, but I am so glad that you could join us today to talk on this subject. And I titled this, A Little Gratitude, Please. Well, again, everybody talks about that this time of the year, and we sat around most likely a few days ago, the Thanksgiving table full of all kinds of goodies here in the U.S., at least overseas. I don't know. I hope you could join us in your own Thanksgiving of sorts. But part of that process for a lot of homes is to just sit and talk with the family and others around us. And we did it in our home growing up. Just state a few words of gratitude. Like, why am I happy? Why am I grateful right now? And it's always an interesting question, because I hate to see it limited to Thanksgiving. It is not a Thanksgiving thing, although it is, but it's not. It should be something that we talk about a lot all year round. There's plenty to be grateful for. We here in the U.S. live in a wonderful country where freedom is still the real thing. We get to choose what we do almost every time we get up in the morning, where we want to go, where we want to work, how we want to interact with each other, and in what frame of reference all life takes place. It's just that simple. We have a choice. And gratitude is a big part of it. I know growing up for me, there was always this time of the year that we did something special and traveled to visit friends and family, most likely. But I don't think I talked or thought enough about how grateful I was and I am still for having parents that loved me, that cared enough to raise me in a godly home. Now, they didn't do it perfectly. If any of you have heard my story, there's issues like we all have. But for the most part, when I look back on life, I'm thankful. I'm just thankful that we, as a family, were able to function fairly well, and that I avoided a lot of the issues that I see now in society, people's reactions to things that had happened to them, or the way they were treated or even brought up, for that matter, maybe in a much more dysfunctional home, certainly. But beyond that, let's just look beyond that for a minute and think a little bit about the gratitude we as Christians should have for Jesus and his saving grace. It's a lot. When you look back at his life, and I'm in the process of reading the Bible through in a year, when you look back specifically at the Gospels, but even in the Old Testament, as it predicted his coming and his life and his death and resurrection, it's monumental. When you think of God in human flesh, someone who at any moment in time could have snapped his fingers and changed the course of history, and did not, chose to live as a human being in this planet, but at the same time God, which, for our little infinite or finite brains, we just can't even begin to grasp that. That's the gratitude I feel. The world we live in is a mess. I mean, it's been for some time, but the last couple of years have shown the division that has come about through differences in opinions and how people interpret science, and how we should protect one another from a worldwide pandemic, but then also the other unrest that came about around election time. There's just a bunch of stuff that if we allow ourselves to get absorbed in it, we lose our gratitude. We lose our heart in many ways. And I like just getting up in the morning and taking the dog out back and seeing the songbirds chirping, and then kind of surrounding the feeders that we have out there. It's just something I almost knew nothing about until I got married to Colleen. She taught me everything there is to know about birds. And, I just thought they kind of flew overhead and were annoying, especially at the beach when a seagull came over your head. But now I have a whole different appreciation for what wildlife exists that I never noticed before. Now, why do I bring that up? Okay. Sometimes it's just simple to be happy about the simple things and to be grateful for the simple things. Starts there. It's not necessarily a big thing, although we have a roof over our head here, and that's a big thing. We have food on the table. That's huge because there are so many people around the world that don't. And we forget that gratitude shows up in other places because they simply have a meal to eat in one day. We have that in excess around here. I'm living in one of the most richest farmlands in the country at Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. And when you go and drive down the country roads around here, you see in the Amish communities that exist here just the abundance and the fertile soil that exists here. Again, gratitude for what God has given us here, but it's not that way everywhere. And I'm reminded about it anytime I turn on the news or when I read stories online. And we happen to support a small church in Kenya, outside of Nairobi. Beautiful people. We love to see pictures coming over and just how these little kids appreciate just maize, they call it. It's just small. It's just a simple meal, and we're able to help provide that at times. I don't even know what that looks like. I just don't. So a little gratitude, please, should be our mantra. Maybe it was in the last few days, but even heading into the end of the year. I don't think holiday seasons are as happy for everyone as what we pretend they are. Gratitude is not easy to muster when you've experienced levels of trauma in your life that have been devastating, and holidays oftentimes remind us of those traumas. People act up on Thanksgiving. They act up on Christmas and New Year's, and their dysfunctional behaviors tend to come out the most when they're around family and friends, or when they're reminded of seasons of maybe loss. Holidays, this picture we paint or the Hallmark postcard and all the movies we see, it's just not real. It's a pretend world that many of us live in a good part of our lives. And when it's exposed and when brokenness comes into the picture, we hurt. We hurt. All of us. I don't have traumatic memories over the holidays, but I sense or feel the heaviness for a lot of people. And I don't always love it the way I think I should. Sometimes it's a chore, right? For you guys who don't love putting up lights and decorations and then taking them down again a few weeks later. That would be me. I do it, and then I find a way to be happy because my wife just loves it. So I've got to be happy about that. Put up the Christmas tree, do all these things. But it is a symbol of the season, but not a good symbol for everyone. So I guess what I'm trying to hope for during just this short time together today is to encourage you to find a little happiness through being grateful for what you can see around you, for what you do either have, or more importantly, the relationships, the people that you love the most, the people that care for you the most. Just tell them, it's okay. You can lay down the guards and be transparent and be willing to be authentic. This time of the year is even more. Even though there are smiles on the face, but many frowns on the inside, we have an opportunity to give people a hug, to just share our love and our care and our gratitude for them. My wife works at a mission. Many of you know. I volunteer there. I help teach, but I do some other things, and I'm sure we're going to be doing a lot here in the coming weeks. I know we are. And there's meals coming up, and there's ways that we can serve. And there's always volunteers around this time of the year to do that. But my encouragement to you is to look for opportunities throughout the year, not just on Thanksgiving or Christmas or New Year's or other times when it makes more sense to do so. But look for opportunities year round to give. I found that personally that I'm more grateful when I am giving of myself to others in need. And there's just something about those two greatest commandments that God gave us. First one, to love him, and then to love others as we would ourselves. And love shows up a lot of different ways. It's not just telling somebody that, or not just being in somebody's presence, but it's about serving. How can I serve you, my dear friend, my dear colleague, my family, or somebody you don't even know? You can walk the streets this time of year and find a lot of people in need. And I would challenge you to start thinking about what that might look like for you in this time, in this season. I kept a journal for years, and I still do. I don't write in it right now as much as I used to. I tend to do things a little differently, but I would encourage anyone to do this. It's a great exercise. In fact, there's even apps you can download to do it if you really want to do this. But a gratitude journal, a way every day, even if it's just a couple minutes in the morning and a couple minutes at night, it's thankful for the things that God did for me personally, or that I saw in others, or just a smile on somebody's face. Just jot 3 things down in the morning. 3 things at night, even as you look back on the day, and wow, see how they match up. If you're willing to give God the opportunity to show his love for you, and in a way that you can be grateful, he will show up. Guaranteed, he will show up. He'll do for you everything you ask. It's his word. He's promised it more than you could have asked for. And this time of the year, there are people in need. There are situations at hand that almost demand our attention to help, and just love the gratitude that other people show, but always point them to God, because honestly, without Jesus' love, without Jesus in our heart, without the Holy Spirit guiding us each step of the way, that's not possible. We don't have it in ourselves as believers to muster that much energy day in, day out. I certainly don't. And I've known the Lord since I was 9 years old. That's a lot of years. And I have made some sideways trips through that process. Plenty of times when I showed no gratitude. And I certainly believe that God loves when we do. It's a way of connecting with him and with others, especially this time of the year. So, folks, join me with a little gratitude, please. I know Thanksgiving is over, but let's just show Jesus' love to the people around us, our family, our friends, in any way that he calls us to do. Now, stay with me for a minute. We are at Embracing Brokenness Ministries, like many other ministries, a crowd-funded organization of only a couple people who are doing the work that God's called us to do. I do what you hear me do now in podcasts, in writing, in our daily memo. If you haven't subscribed, go to our website. And very much appreciate the gifts that people give for us to continue to do this ministry. I do. It's a full-time thing for me personally, and part-time for Colleen. But there are many other people supporting and helping around this area that have given us of their time and energy, and I'm so grateful. Talk about gratitude for them. And we don't ask this very often, but if there is an opportunity for you to want to support this ministry and just be prayerful about it, this is not something you'll hear us say very often. We would welcome it. So to do so, just go to our website at embracingbrokenness.org, and there's a directory at the top that says support. You just push that button, click there, and it'll take you to a page where you can access different options to donate or give to the cause here. It does connect to Capstone Legacy Foundation, which is an overarching 501c3 nonprofit that, because of our size, they provide opportunities to do all our filings for us and some of the administrative costs. So it's less costly to do so right now, but all of your donations are tax deductible, and we would welcome this with, again, a tremendous amount of gratitude. So thanks, folks. That's it. And we will be back in a couple weeks and wishing you a wonderful, wonderful season of love, family, gratitude in your heart for God and for others. Take care now.
This was another episode of the Embracing Brokenness podcast. For more information on Embracing Brokenness Ministries, or to subscribe to our blog, podcast, YouTube channel, or engage with us on social media, please visit our website at embracingbrokenness.org. Thanks for joining us.